Justin, now that you guys have a couple of road games under your belt in the Big East, what's it been like to play on the road in the new conference, new arenas, new teams, all that?
I mean, it's fun. Get to see different places, go to different cities that we haven't been to, playing in the Atlantic 10. Same type of feel. It's a tough environment. Always a tough environment on the road to play in. So, and it's definitely a good experience to be able to go travel and with our team and be able to compete on the road. Those are some of the the funnest games. Being able to go to somebody else's home court and be able to quiet their crowd. It's always a fun experience.
Does it require any more kind of adjustments though on your part? As a player.
Oh yeah, it's more attention to details. We have to, do the little things that maybe that you can get away with at home, but on the road is, very critical and very comes out definitely determines the conclusion of the game. So it definitely attention to details and being more locked in and focused, and defensively, it's really where we have to put our stamp on the road.
You ever been to Rhode Island?
Yes, yes. We played the Rams of Rhode Island, on the A-10.
Semaj, a question I've already asked you, but I was hoping you could maybe elaborate a little bit. Your numbers in conference play have really been have rocketed up. You've done really well in all facets, from scoring to in defense. Can you just talk about your play in the conference, and is there anything different for you since conference play started?
No, not really. Just trying to stay aggressive, get out in transition and get easy points. Defensive wise, just trying to lock in and defend and run. I know when we run, we have more fun like that. So that's about it. Just trying to get stops and stay aggressive when I do get the ball.
The Big East has always had this reputation or aura for being a more physical conference. First conference was 6 personal fouls and all that. Have you guys noticed, even though the teams are a little different than they were in the past, that it is more of a physical brand of basketball now that you played 5-6 games in there?
By far, it's definitely a physical game. I just recall after a couple games, every game really that we played in the Big East is very physical. Your body, it takes a toll on your body. So as far as that recovery and going to see the trainers, flukes, and ice baths and stuff, it's very, critical to being ready to play the next game. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more physical.
You guys feel the same way?
I mean, I've always been smaller, so physical is just physical to me. It doesn't really matter. But compared to the A-10 conference, I think there are teams in the A-10 conference that were more physical. But, all in all, I feel like the Big East has got the upper hand on physicality.
Dee, you and Semaj are both top 6 in assists in the Big East, and all 5 starters in the Big East are averaging double figures. Does this say something about team camaraderie and how well you guys gel?
I mean, yeah, everybody knew it would take time. With a new team, it always takes time. But I think we figured it out. Really what we focused on was just playing defense first, and after that, everything else take care of itself.
Dee, how much do you know about Providence and specifically Bryce Cotton coming into this game, second in the conference in scoring?
Well, I know that he can score. I know that they're a very, very good team, pretty athletic. So, I mean, just going there with the same mindset we always go into a game with. So, nothing different from any other game.
Yeah, who do we ask questions?
Me.
Is it like looking in a mirror with your small figure right there?
I think they did an excellent job with the biceps. The hair, I think the color's a little bit different. Other than that, it's spot on.
You got it's like a nice Ivan Drago flat top going.
That was really popular in the late '80s, early '90s. this is more popular today, 2014, the look I have now.
Do you plan to have a fleet of Chris Mack dolls in your office or anywhere on display in your house maybe?
They're mandatory for each room in the house. I make my kids go to school with them. You know, they're awesome. I think 3,000 is not enough. We need a lot more than that.
Chris, as we shift gears to Providence, they have one of the top guards in Bryce Cotton, plays a lot of minutes, 40 minutes, I believe, and it's
Yep.
kind of necessary on a shorthanded team like they have this year. But can you just talk about the challenges that he poses?
I mean, he's like a poor man's Allen Iverson. I really believe that. He is really, really quick with the ball. You know, he gets in the lane. They run a lot of isolations for him. They ball screen to death for him. He really has an ability to break down the defense on his own. And so it's a huge challenge for not only the player that's defending him, but also the rest of our team. And, you know, like many good players, when you put 2 or 3 guys around him, he knows how to pass, and he finds the open man. And so it's, Bryce Cotton's a huge challenge. I didn't know much about him until obviously we headed off to the Big East, and you quickly learn that he's one of the best guards in the conference, if not the country.
Semaj is like 5 points ahead of his season average in Big East play. What did make him pick up another couple of notches from even non-conference?
Well, I think his teammates have done a great job. I think we have several threats on the floor at all times. And, if you only have 1 or 2 guys that generally are threats to score the ball, it makes it a lot easier on the defense. But, you've got Matt on the interior who can pass the ball, who also demands double teams. Justin shooting it as well as anybody, as well as he has his entire career. Dee's being the guy that we've always wanted to be, a guy that can really set his teammates up, and he's making open shots as well. So I think because of the balance that we have, certainly Semaj is playing extremely well. But if our other guys on the team, weren't shooting the ball well, weren't threats to score, it'd be so much more difficult for him, and I think he'd tell you that.
He also has been having a heck of a run here, on a roll, Big East on a roll. But can you talk about him kind of fulfilling his role, what you want him to do in terms of being maybe a table setter?
Yeah, I think it's taken Dee a while to sort of grow into the role that we'd always envisioned him having. Again, he's playing with talented players, and at times he's going to be disrespected. At times they're going to put 2 guys on Matt, and the ball seems to find the open player on this team. And I have all the confidence in the world that Dee can shoot the ball, that he can score. But if that's his main mission when he's on offense, then our team's not going to be as effective. And I think he's, really grown to see that over the course of the first 2 months. When he makes other players better, it makes his job that much easier when the scoring opportunities present themselves.
I asked this of the guys, are you noticing, the Big East has always had a reputation being physical. First conference, go to 6 personals. They said it's definitely way more physical. Do you notice that as well in their recovery, what you see on film, what you just see courtside?
Well, I just think that the players that we're going up against are stronger, they're bigger, they're more athletic. And I think, going into this year, there was such an uncertainty as to how the fouls were going to be called, both on the perimeter and the post. And I think as that sort of has worked its way out, players have gotten to understand, what adjustment needs to be made. And sometimes it's from game to game, but, I think it's definitely, been a physical game. College basketball has always been a physical game. I know they try to take that element out a little bit with the rule changes, but that's what we want to be known for as well. We want to be known as a hardcore physical team.
Providence also is a very good offensive rebounding team. Can you just talk about that and just, the attention to the glass? You guys are leading the conference in rebounding, so, I guess it's kind of, your battle to lose in that regard, maybe.
Yeah, they're I think twofold. Number one, they have some warriors underneath. Kadeem Batts is he's imposing. He has a very high motor. He doesn't give up when you block him out. great offensive rebounders don't give in to a block out, and he certainly does not. And then I think the way that Coach Cooley designs his offense with that power flex and tight flex around the blocks and elbows, allows them to be closer to the basket when the shot goes up. And again, I go back to Bryce Cotton. If he's able to take on 2 defenders rather than 1 and the shot goes up, that's one less player that you have in box-out position. So it sort of all works well together. How they run their offense and the players that they have within that offense when the shot goes up, that's a huge challenge for us on Saturday.
What about containing turnovers? That was a issue in the second half of the last game.
And it hasn't been an issue for us, throughout the year. It was early on. It was against DePaul. And so there are things that sort of crop up as the season, rolls along that you have to address. And that's one of them, ball security and making better decisions. I think part of it was, our players played the score, and we can't do that. Great teams, top 25 teams that win championships, they always put the foot on the accelerator. They don't play the score. And we didn't do that real well on Saturday. But again, or on Monday, I give DePaul a lot of credit. I hate being that coach that just talks negatively about your own team. When I thought DePaul did a really good job of playing the way they wanted to in the second half.
Coach, from the win over St. John's to the win over DePaul, how have you seen this team progress the most in what area?
Well, we've gotten a lot better offensively, and I think there's a really good balance and a good symmetry with the guys on the floor offensively. They find one another. We share the ball really well. Gone are the days where, we win a game by 11 and we have 7 assists. We generally, are sharing the ball really well. Guys hit the open man. And I think that's where we've gotten better as the year's gone on. I think there have been some areas where we've been consistent. And the first thing that would stick out is our rebounding. We've been a pretty good rebounding team from day one. And then go back in terms of improvement, I'd say our free throw shooting, obviously, as well.
What's going on with Kamal right now? Has he had surgery yet?
He has not had surgery yet. Our doctors have been sort of out of town, and generally when you have an ACL, there's a little bit of swelling that needs to go out of the knee before the doctors can do their job. So that surgery has not been scheduled to date.
So will he still travel with you guys this year? Or
He'll travel with us when it doesn't affect his class. If we have a weekday game, we're not going to take him on the road if he'd miss a class.